Right on cue. Life is but a vapor. Tomorrow is truly never guaranteed. So I mean this in the simplest capacity when I say treasure your families, appreciate life, be better, be kind. It's as simple as that. As everybody in and outside the industry, fan and worker alike, will pay tribute tonight to one Wyndham Rotunda and the character he left behind in Bray Wyatt. As I let you in to this simple thanks and discussion. So, with that being said, and without further ado, welcome everybody to my simple brand and this special live thank you tonight as we pay our blessings to Bray Wyatt and give our condolences, prayers of strength, and love to the entire Wyndham family. With me tonight is Zero, Christopher Rott, Stepboy Mike, and Jeff Chadwick as we simply come together to again talk about Bray Wyatt. So, with that being said, without further ado, I don't need to say anything else. To those that choose to watch this, thank you. But take a simple message, if nothing else, when you choose to tune in for this, how long you choose to. Be better. Don't be so super critical about the people you see in wrestling, nor the booking of their character. We will start things off here with Zero. And Zero, it's good to see you, my friend. I love the name and good to hear you. Why don't you go ahead and give us some of your initial thoughts about Bray Wyatt? How did you when you heard the news? What was the first thing that came to mind? How did this affected you? And what's one of the things you're thankful for Bray Wyatt? Go ahead. The floor is yours.
It feels it it, it doesn't feel real. Like it really doesn't feel real at all. Like this does not feel real. Hot- Like when I heard the news of his passing, I didn't think that this was actually going to happen. Like I knew he was sick and all, but I didn't think it'll come to this. And I really hate the fact that I hate the fact how I just hate the fact how we lost someone like him. He was only 36. He had a whole life like waiting for him. And he was one of the wrestlers that I actually like fell in love with because he was different. Throughout all the WWE roster, he was the most unique. And what's funny is that the first time I saw him, right, I was 9. I was 9 years old when I first saw him as Husky Harris. And now watching him like evolved, I knew he was destined for a greatness and I knew he was like that dude. I always been by his side. Like yes, his whole booking was weird, but I was a loyal fan. And
Respect.
because I know he was ready to have that one moment, and he did. He won the WWE title and all that, and then he lost it. It was a weird match, but at least he was champion. At least he was world champion. And seeing his whole thing evolve, and then now hearing this, I, I thought I thought this wasn't real, like at all. Like I said, because that was my boy, and I always stick beside him. And now I have to deal with the fact that he's not going to return no more. I was waiting for him to actually come back, and now he's not. But one thing I would say that I'm really happy about is that his impact on the whole entire world. and his impact with me, because he showed me that you could be yourself, you could be creative, you could express yourself in any way, shape, or form. You could just express your character, your your deep inside feelings. You could literally like let it out. Like some people may have a dark side, but he also he taught us how to embrace ourselves, like embrace who we are as a person, even if it's even if you scared to. You could express yourself, your whole creativity, your everything, because you're you. And the way he expressed himself, the way he expresses creativity, it's not just when he was the Wyatt family cult leader. It's when he had this weird, wild idea of having a Firefly funhouse. And he made it work, and he expressed every, like you could tell he was happy, he was passionate, he loves doing what he was doing, and he introduced us to his own, like his evil twin or some like 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 Tafine. He basically say that to embrace who you are. And when you do that, the whole world's gonna know, and the whole world knows. So when he had the whole Uncle Howdy thing, what he showed us was you cannot like, because some people don't know the Uncle Howdy, but I do, because from all the shit I saw, sorry about that, but from all the things I saw, the whole story is basically saying that you're not being your real self. You can't run away from yourself. That was the whole thing with Uncle Howdy. Bray tried to push away his true self, but his true self is saying, nah, I'm not leaving you. You can't hide me. That's what I got from the Uncle Howdy story. And that hits me, because it's like there be times I'm trying to push away my actual self. But my Uncle Howdy is telling me, embrace it. So with Bray, he taught me how to embrace myself and how to actually don't be ashamed of who you are. We all have a monster inside. We all have the one side that we are scared to show. That's why I love this man. Not only his creative work, but his messages. He influenced me like no other. But at least I know now he has the whole world to his hands. And he actually accomplished that mission. And he could finally join Brody, his brother. I, bro, I miss this man so fucking much, bro.
It's all right, man. It's all right. Thank you for your opening testimony to what Bray Wyatt had on you. Wow. King Mike in the chat, appreciate you tuning in. Dwayne Atkinson, appreciate you tuning in. Let's go ahead and continue around and get everybody's initial thoughts on the impact of his career and how this moment had truly took us out of nowhere. But again, as Zero alluded to, Stat Boy Mike, Evan has let him in. And truly tonight, he really has the whole world in his hands. So, Stat Boy Mike, what are your takeaways from the career of Bray Wyatt and the impact of this moment with now we know the cause of the passing, but clearly the aftermath effect of the passing has brought a whole new level, I feel, of humility in and out of the wrestling community. Why most people tarnish and taint it, he definitely left something that we all can take with us forever. The floor is yours, that boy, Mike.
Indeed, it is. First, let me say, rest in peace, Wyndham. May your memory be eternal. Heaven needed another superstar, I guess. And it's I also want to say Noah posted this earlier, and I've said this many times in passing with my friends. Friends, you are not guaranteed tomorrow, so live today. As far as the stats go, Wyndham Rotunda, best known as Bray Wyatt, 3-time WWE champion, won with the actual WWE championship for 49 days, 2-time Universal champion with reigns of 119 days and 7 days, for a grand total of 175 days as WWE champion of some kind. Tag team champion on the Raw side for 79 days with Matt Hardy, and 23 days with the Wyatt family, consisting of Luke Harper and Randy Orton under the Freebird rule, for a total number of 102 days. His career was like, you really could not boo him as a heel because he was one of those heels that you liked. The creepiness, the backwood facade, and the entrance. His entrance is one of the most iconic entrances ever. If you ever got to see the Fireflies in person, it is a sight to see. I tried asking Renegade earlier if we ever got to do that, but I don't think I can't remember ever going to a show and experiencing the Fireflies. Of course, the greatest moment I believe that he had was when the band played his theme music, and New Orleans, we're here, that whole thing with and the lantern, and it's just it can be parodied, but be parodied in a good way. So, and then when we had the Firefly Funhouse, there was a moment, and I believe this was when the Thunderdome was happening. So this was probably during the pandemic. It's like Bray Wyatt would show up in the Funhouse, The Fiend would show up in the arenas, and believe me, when I first saw my first look at The Fiend, I dang near jumped out of my chair, and then I'm like, that is the coolest mask I have ever seen. It was amazing. The character, okay, a bit on the creepy side. The kids would not like that. And then, it's like, okay, can you beat this guy? The Fiend was Thanos. The Fiend was Apocalypse. The Fiend was Darkseid. Whatever giant comic book hero you can think of that can take a punch, the Fiend did that. And then Goldberg comes along and beats him on day 119. I mean, come on. The Fiend could have had one of those great long runs where nobody could have beaten him. And the one thing that I really liked, this was during the story with Cena, where Bray Wyatt came out in the empty arena and confronted John Cena. It was not the Fiend. It was Bray. I'm like, okay, where is this going? This is different. This is, he's supposed to sit there and laugh and make fun of us through a screen. He's actually getting in John Cena's face, saying, hey, the Fiend is no joke. He's going to beat you at WrestleMania. I cannot beat you, but the Fiend can. And of course, the Fiend did in the cinematic match. And then he went away again. And then we learned, there were possible mental health issues, especially when we lost John Huber. He took that hard, and then he comes back. And honestly, the Pitch Black match, it kind of sounded a little bit corny on paper, but it was a great match. LA Knight and him made that match their own, and then he's gone again. The last video I saw of him, he was getting on a bus with his daughter, and somebody asked for a fan, a fan asked for a picture, which he obliged, and of course everybody on the social media is like, dude, he's trying to get his daughter on the bus so he can go to work or so he can do something, but still he would do that. He would take care of his family, and he would take care of the fans as well. And then the last moment I share, there's a book, a children's book. He read it. The Miz read it. Nikki Bella read it. It had I think it was like Good Night Moon. Just to hear him read a children's book, he's sitting there reading the book in character, and he looks at the journalist or whatever, and he kind of gives him a look in between verses. So you could see that was Wyndham, but he was also Bray reading a good night story. Will he be missed? Greatly. It's just not going to be the same. And all I can say is thank you and follow the buzzards.
Well said, Stat Boy. Well said. I loved those moments. It's definitely a callback too. I just want to give a quick little callback shout out for Zero here, who had his moment with Bray Wyatt. He has a picture actually of his entrance back at Battleground 2016. I was very fortunate enough to not only be a part of the Fireflies, like you alluded to, at a SmackDown show where only Dave was a promo via the Titantron, but still that Huntington Center with near 8,000 people and the lights of the cell phones all around being part of that. It really is a spectacle to not only behold, but be a part of. It's something really unique. And then seeing The Fiend debut in 2019 at SummerSlam, it was one of those things that I was like, what? And then seeing what he did with Finn Balor and just the challenge of pain and play and then like heel and the way that, Code Orange did his theme. It's one of those things where, again, seeing Bray Wyatt is one thing. We got to embrace him. That's a whole different type of saga. So that being said, Jeff, now the floor is yours. What did Bray Wyatt had for you as Impact as a fan, and how did you handle the moment when you heard about this yesterday? And what's your takeaway when it comes to Bray Wyatt's career? Your moments, your thoughts, your matches, and overall, floor is yours, my friend. Jeff, take it away.
Well, first off, hearing about this yesterday, I was at work. It floored me. I was not able to really concentrate much throughout the rest of the day. Got what I needed to get done, but I wasn't all there. I mean, it was clear as day. When I first saw Wyndham Rotunda as Husky Harris, I remember quite well when it was the old NXT. I was impressed with how he could move so swiftly, being how big he was. Fast forward a few years later, he comes back in NXT, trimmed down a little bit, and came out with this Bray Wyatt character that nobody knew what to think. And I'll be honest, I was one of them that didn't know what to think. I loved the whole Wyatt family concept with Brody and Eric Redbeard. I absolutely loved what they did in the ring, how they gelled so well, and made everything they did in the ring believable. They told, all of them together told a story. They told Bray's story. pretty much. And watching from when they were in NXT to when they when they debuted on the main roster, and then seeing them kind of go their separate ways. That at that point, I thought it was pretty much the end of his career. And then he came out with The Fiend. And knowing that this was his idea for this character, just like it was for the Let Me In character, the newer version that we saw. They were all his creations. And I will say I've got to give thanks to Vince McMahon for letting us be a part of, literally be a part of Bray's creation. He took us on so many different stories and angles and everything, and I had highly enjoyed every bit of it, even the matches that were kind of all cinematic, and even the one with John Cena, which I thought that one was kind of silly, but it just, his stories and how he portrayed his character and how he brought us into his story will never ever be duplicated. Nobody from here on out could ever stand up to what Bray Wyatt did. The character when he brought in the Fiend was probably my favorite, because it's something that had never been done before. It was very risky. And that's what Bray was. He was a very risky character, because every story he did was very risky. Every angle, anything to do with his character was extremely risky. But the fans loved it. And, it just, I could go back and watch like all of his matches if I really wanted to, back to back to back, and just go from NXT to his last match he had with LA Knight.
Yeah.
And you see the progression in this guy, not just character wise, but what he can do in the ring. And it's impressed me how far he came in the last 10 years or so.
10 years, pretty much. Yeah, because he actually was involved in FCW first,
right?
That Bray Wyatt character truly came to form after the NXT reality.
Yeah. And Bray was a very unique. Wyndham was a very unique character. I followed him on Twitter. I followed him on, Instagram. And what I just feel right now for JoJo and his daughter. That is where my heart is right now, is with JoJo and his daughter. It's, as someone who has lost a parent, well, I've actually lost both, but as someone who has lost a parent, I can only imagine down the road when his daughter gets older, the questions she's going to ask, she's still young. I mean, I don't even think she's 2 yet. So I can only imagine how hard it would be for JoJo to bring up their daughter by herself. Like, he won't be there anymore, and how she's going to explain to his daughter on who Daddy is. What better way than to go through, as I said, go through the timeline of his matches. This is Daddy, coming up from FCW, going into NXT as Husky, and then being Bray Wyatt, being the Fiend, show her the timeline. Be like, this is your daddy, and that's someone that I think that she could be very proud of. I know if I was. If I was Bray's son, I would be extremely proud because this guy has come a long way in literally a short period of time. We already know that he's had some demons. He's had mental breakdowns. He's had one of them was on SmackDown, which I don't think was even scripted.
No.
And I feel for him. I felt those promos, if you really want to call it promos, because it obviously came from the heart. I don't think it was really so much a promo as it was just him pouring his heart out. And that gave us an extra thing to look, an extra side to look at behind Wyndham Rotunda. Like, he was being himself. He wasn't being Bray. He was being himself, and it gave us the opportunity to look to see deeper inside this person, the struggles that he was going through, and it's just I felt every word that came out of his mouth. One of my favorite quotes from Bray, plain and simple: all that you can take with you is that which you've given away. Rest in peace, Bray. You'll always be in my heart. You'll be in everybody's heart. And your matches and your legacy will live on.
Well said, Jeff. Daniel with a thought here that Bray Wyatt should be part of the W Hall of Fame in 2024. They did for Eddie.
Absolutely.
I definitely could see him be a first ballot candidate. And you talked about, again, the family and the personal ties and struggle. As somebody who was born developmentally delayed, as somebody whose mother has literally raised her two sons, daughter, and basically you could say my nephew, aka her grandson, and then we got, of course, my little niece, my little Ella. The weight that my mom bear, let alone what I had to basically evolve from when I was at a moment of panic, a moment of not knowing which way to go. And then I stepped up. I became hardened. I became isolated from the world. I became angry. But then I found my way. I accepted what I was, but I knew I had to be more than what I once was. And you could honestly say the same thing about Bray Wyatt, especially when his latest return, when he came through that door. And truly, it was not just Bray Wyatt. It was part of Wyndham himself that we got to embrace in the final leg of a very illustrious career that I think was truly beginning still before you thought it was going to be over. We also know how many wrestlers he impacted upon. I mean, the list goes on and on, not just outside WWE that has already poured out love and emotion, but you talk about the matches, you talk about the stories, each one individually different, but tackling a character trait that made both people stronger in the end. You talk about Roman Reigns. You talk about Daniel Bryan. You talk about Chris Jericho. You talk about Matt Hardy. You talk about Braun Strowman. You talk about the late, great Brody Lee, Luke Harper, and the evolution of the Wyatt family. You talk about, as I give it to Christopher Rotz now to wrap this thing up for this thing, John Cena. Chris, the floor is yours. I saved you last for a reason because I feel like you could definitely share a lot here, especially how much you are a fan of John Cena. But also, you and I, we've had a little bit of talk before this. You also seem very, quote unquote, poignant in getting your thoughts out about Bray Wyatt when you thought you weren't going to, when you thought I wasn't going to do this. I know how much Bray Wyatt meant to the industry for us as fans to a degree. We don't have to understand necessarily the circumstances he faced nor who he is, but we can all appreciate what he did and share in a capacity what he was. A great character, a fun professional wrestler, a creative mind, and a family man. But Chris, the floor is yours right now. Your thoughts, your takeaway on Bray Wyatt, his career, how the moment affected you, and what will you take away from all that he has given you, including all he may have been, coexisting with. Chris, the floor is yours.
Well, if you guys can't see this, I'm deeply sorry, but I have a picture of Bray Wyatt himself when I went to WWE Extreme Rules 2018 in Pittsburgh. That was my first premium live event that I have ever saw of Bray Wyatt. And personally, I've been a fan of Bray Wyatt ever since. I have his action figure when he was the Eater of Worlds, Bray Wyatt. Then I have the Fiend, Bray Wyatt. I will cherish these two action figures so much. Personally, I'm gonna miss Bray Wyatt a lot. He had some interesting feuds. He had interesting matches. Personally, he worked with a lot of superstars, and there's upcoming superstars that he's not going to be working with, and that sad to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to miss Bray Wyatt a lot. He was one of my favorites, and he helped me through a lot when I lost my best friend who I worked with. His name was Jonathan, and Bray Wyatt, he returned back to the company on October 8th, and that's when I found out that my friend Jonathan passed away. And I took everything hard with my friend Jonathan, and now I'm taking this hard now with Bray Wyatt, because when Bray came back, I felt that connection instantly. I instantly felt a connection with him. And now with him being gone, I feel like that connection is not there now. Is always gonna be in my heart. And yeah, it's sad that he's gone and he had this mental illness and he was on the mend. He was on a verge of returning back to the company. And all of a sudden, he's not here anymore. That is unreal. And yesterday, I worked from 11 to 4:30. I came home, had dinner, took my puppy for a walk. I can't say that word right. You know what the word is, but I can't say
walk.
it because
I got you. I got you,
yeah.
bro. Continue.
But and then after that, I was playing video games with Rowdy Renz, who you guys all know in wrestling group chats, playing Fortnite with, and I looked at my phone and I just said, "What?" I was like in shock, and this doesn't seem real. I thought I was in a dream. I was trying to get myself out of the dream. But today I woke up and I felt this is actually in real time and this is real life. I will always cherish Bray Wyatt. I saw him at live events. The first time I saw him at a live event was back in Youngstown, Ohio, back in 2013 when he took on Alex Riley at the time. And then I was a fan of his when he was a part of the Nexus. That was my favorite faction of all time. The Nexus. I was a huge fan of the Nexus. And then I saw him in Pittsburgh back in 2018, 2019 as The Fiend. I saw him last year in 2022 when he's returned to Pittsburgh when he was in the feud with LA Knight. Yeah, he wasn't a part of that show. He wasn't a part of the show and he didn't come out. But to me, I felt he did came out. And I saw the Uncle Howdy stuff. And personally, when I go to Pittsburgh next Saturday for WWE Payback, and I'm definitely going to be there, it's going to be weird because it's going to be my first time not going to see Bray Wyatt. And that, to me, is sad. But what Bray wants us to do is that life is going to move. Life just is too short. We just got to cherish the good times we have with one another. Just love one another. Just if you have a friend, family members, call them up, check up on them, and just tell them you love them, because you don't know when's the last time you're going to talk to them. And tomorrow's not guaranteed. Bray Wyatt, he got the whole world in his hands now. He reunited with Brody Lee. And personally, I feel him and Brody Lee are now heavenly tag team champions, and they're going to be tag team champions forever. Those two are going to be missed. I feel bad for JoJo and his kids. You guys brought up good points. Tonight's going to be emotional, seeing everything that goes down with Bray Wyatt. Hopefully they put on a good tribute show. We're going to always remember him. We can watch his matches on Peacock, Hulu, YouTube, anywhere you find social media. Go look Bray Wyatt up, look at his matches, and you'll be amazed. We saw the Hudson Harris. We had The Fiend. We had the Nexus, Bray Wyatt. We had the Firefly Funhouse, and the real Bray Wyatt. He is the greatest mastermind and creation of all time. And personally, there's not going to be another Bray Wyatt. There's not going to be another one. I hope someone could step up now to take over Bray Wyatt's legacy. I hope we get to know who Uncle Howdy is. We possibly know that is his brother, Bo Dallas. They both shared a storyline together, and I will cherish that for the rest of my life. He worked with The Rock. He worked with John Cena, Daniel Bryan, Dean Ambrose, Seth freaking Rollins, Roman Reigns. And personally, I had matches lined up for Bray Wyatt on his return, to have him go up against Cody Rhodes, put him with Randy Orton again, put him with Roman. They could do Braun Strowman again. They could do Logan Paul, Gunther, Brock Lesnar, Braun Breaker. Those are the matches that we're not going to know if he was going to win them, if he was going to lose them. Personally, we would not know if Bray was going to be the one dethroning Roman Reigns at the top of the mountain. We're not going to know that. I will always be a Bray Wyatt fan. Rest in peace, Bray Wyatt. I love you. I will look out for you as a role model. I will always look up to you. Thank you for everything. And I will always follow the buzzers. And hey, maybe I'll be the next Bray Wyatt one day, but overall, thank you, Bray Wyatt, for everything. And rest in peace. There is that.
All right. Well said. Well, everybody, I really appreciate your testimonies tonight for the impact Bray Wyatt had on you, and definitely some afterthoughts that I feel other people can take away too. Keep Mike here with a question before we conclude. Does anyone think the Wyatt family story will continue at all? I saw some fans saying they want Bo, and Strowman to continue together. And for those that don't know, Eric Rowan, of course, member of the Wyatt family, Bo Dallas, of course, Husky Harris, real life brother, and Braun Strowman. You talked about, JoJo and Savannah, the family. Braun Strowman's basically the quote unquote godfather to Whit Matunda's daughter. So it's not like she's going to be alone, but I definitely understand what you're saying, where it's not going to be, the blood-born father. As far as that continuing, I'm not sure. You almost wonder with the idea of Uncle Howdy being what Bray Wyatt really was and him accepting it, but still challenging it. With Bray Wyatt now gone, does that just run rampant, or does that go along with him and they finally rest together in peace? As far as Braun Strowman goes, it's kind of been up in the air of what he might be doing since last time we saw him. He was working with Ricochet, but Ricochet right now might be looking for payback against Logan Paul. And the last time we saw what he's now known as Eric Redbeard, he was involved, of course, in the Bray Lee tribute show and for a short run as a monster character for another program in AEW. Honestly, I would just love to see them bring Eric Rowan, WWE name, back for the night just to give his thoughts, his piece. You remember that sign he held up at the Bray Lee tribute?
Yep.
See you soon, brother. I imagine it would only be even more fitting that he has that sign here because he's basically, I know Braun Strowman came in late, but the original Wyatt 53, he's the last one left. So right now he has to carry that legacy, I feel like. And we all know how much Eric Rowan and the value of his character with the Wyatt family was when he was just the guy you thought that was just weird in a sheep mask. So I'm not sure. And honestly, I don't think they need to. It's one of those things right now where it's, again, like Chris said, the big what if. You don't know now what could happen, but trying to fantasy book it is one thing. Trying to book it a way that even Bray Wyatt wouldn't do it would probably be a disrespect to his name. But even though, again, he is his brother, I think there were longer-term plans for Bray Wyatt in this. I mean, we never got to truly see the Wyatt Six, and people were fantasy booking Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux to maybe be a part of that. You think about Joe Gacy and his type of character and presentation he does in JJ's NXT. Now, I'm not going to say it tonight. That's how serious I'm taking this thing. Again, you think about the impact he had on both everybody in and out of WWE, man and woman. Let's also not sleep over the fact how much he really, really helped and enjoyed working with Alexa Bliss. Yep. Alexa Bliss, I think, was at one of her strongest, most confident moments in her career being part of Bray Wyatt and those Firefly Funhouse skits. And now, again, why she has to worry about, parenthood on the rise, she lost one of her best friends for life. So you have to imagine what Alexa Bliss is going through this as well. So, and again, Undertaker, you remember Badass Undertaker gave the nod to Bray Wyatt saying, you are here now. Carry on. Undertaker endorsed that, man. Enough said. So I guess in conclusion, the bottom line is this. For everybody that has been affected by the passing of Whiteham Rotunda, our prayers of love and strength go out to all of you. Know that you are not alone in this situation. There are those that truly do respect and support you. And as far as Bray Wyatt goes, for us here as fans, for everybody else that's been a fan, for anybody else who has been affected, appreciative, and just supportive of this man, thank you once again for everything you've done. You figure about what we've lost this year in great men of the industry, in great fathers. Jay Briscoe, and now Bray Wyatt. It's really a crazy circumstance to see, but this once again proves that we need to learn to teach ourselves and others humility and truly appreciate life and treasure our families. So with that being said, I thank you all for being a part of this. I thank you all for sharing your thoughts. I thank you all for sharing the impact this gentleman has had on you, and I thank everybody for tuning in, whether you watch this live or on demand. If you can, please, once again, just say thank you, I love you to those around you. Please try and tune in some capacity, even post show on YouTube to the Bray Wyatt tribute and get a real glimpse into what sort of impact he left on those that he was in and out of the ring with. And I think with that being said, this is about plugs. This is about us. This is about appreciating a man, honoring a legacy, and once again, encouraging everybody to enjoy life and enjoy wrestling. I'm going to hold up this graphic. You all can disconnect if you want. If you do want a little bit of separate joy to try and raise your spirits like we did last night, stay tuned for me and members of the No DQ Galaxy for City Predicting All In. I'm sure we'll talk about this more on Open Mic Night as well. You'll get other thoughts too. But until next time, I think one of you said best. Follow the buzzer forever. We now bid you all a fine adieu. And again, you all can disconnect if you all don't want to see this. Thank you, Bray Wyatt. Have a good night, folks.